Joining us tonight is retired Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis. He is a senior fellow and military expert at Defense Priorities. Daniel, thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for your service. I know you're a four-time combat veteran. What do you make on Trump's focus on lethality today? Because that's how these executive orders or upcoming executive orders are justifying doing away with things like DEI programs and possible changes to policies regarding transgender service members.
Well, listen, anything that's going to increase the combat capacity of the United States Armed Forces and their lethality, obviously it should be welcomed by everybody. There's always been this issue of, do you want to bring in social engineering kinds of things, or even things that are trending in the civilian world into the military? And so, and I've always been of the opinion that there's room for some of that, because I mean, we do come from the culture at large. But everything has to be gone through the lens of, is this going to make the military better, stronger, more capable? And if it's not, then I think that we need to bypass that. And I believe that the U.S. has gone in a direction that is really prioritized other things besides lethality in the past, and I think that needs to be brought back into balance.
We've seen a lot of disruption to our military industrial complex over the last few years. We've also seen our adversaries focusing on asymmetric warfare, like building cheap weapons at scale. I see the drone there behind you. And all of that is to overwhelm our expensive, exquisite systems that we are so used to seeing, right? How do you see all of that changing going forward?
Yeah, listen, and I hope that's a part of the reform and the increasing capacity that the new Secretary of Defense Hegseth said he wants to bring to the table, because that is a huge issue. The Iron Dome and all that, bringing in, I'm for that too, because if anything, this war has shown, the Russia-Ukraine war, of the absolute centrality of air defenses and how crucial it is to the warfighter. The other thing that shows, and I think that just based on my combat experience in mechanized warfare with the United States, is that we have to change our warfare doctrine quite a bit to bring it up to scale with what's happening, because you are absolutely right. Some of these cheap drones and other kinds of weapons that are easy to get through and easy to saturate an area, if you don't have the way to knock them out, to use electronic warfare to defeat them, or to have other aerial drones defeat aerial drones, if that's not a big part of what you're doing, then we could be behind the eight ball on a future battlefield. So that is very important.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought up the Iron Dome. I mean, the biggest threat to the U.S., at least in my eyes, is ICBMs. And our track record for shooting down potential ICBMs, at least up until a few years ago, has not been pretty at all. What would a U.S. Iron Dome be capable of here, and how do ICBMs factor into that?
Well, now a lot of the components and the technology behind the Israeli Iron Dome came from the United States. We've been very instrumental in doing that too. And a lot of these attacks from Iran, the two of the attacks over the last year in response to Israeli actions, really kind of highlighted that there are some limitations to this Iron Dome. It's not as ironclad, so to speak, as what's claimed. It got a lot of the slower and older weapons, but these newer ones, like some of the hypersonic missiles, even some of the regular medium-range ballistic missiles, got through that system. So it's not foolproof, and we need to do a lot more technology development, because we're more vulnerable, I think, than some believe.
There's technology, and then there's also revving up the manufacturing base if things are going to be done at scale, especially cheaper, right? Do you think that we have that in place here in the United States?
Without question, we don't. That's been really highlighted by, you heard the outgoing administration admitted several times that they had to pause some of the weapons that they were given to the Ukrainians because we didn't have the capacity enough to supply our own needs and to backfill some of the things, and we had to wait until they reached a certain level. If we were to get into an unexpected conflict right now, we absolutely do not have the industrial capacity to sustain a conflict of the type that Russia and Ukraine is in right now. And hopefully that's something that's going to be seen. And by the way, you brought up an important point also. We can't spend so much on these super expensive individual platforms that we now don't have enough money to have the larger quantity of the lower price things that can take out these big things. So there just needs to be a complete reform about how we do our warfighting to make sure we stay that preeminent military power.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of things, at least from the outside, are kind of upside down. But man, we appreciate your insight and expertise into all of this. Lieutenant Colonel Daniel Davis, host of
Thank
Daniel
you.
Davis Deep Dives. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
My pleasure. Thank you.